We all know that person, the one who can talk about Barolo wines, Japanese whiskies, Miles Davis and mid-century furniture, and somehow make it sound, totally effortless. They don't have a degree in art history or enology. They've just mastered the delicate art of appearing cultured. Well, that person could be you. Welcome to the Art of Snobbery. This isn't about being an expert. It's about sounding like one, with confidence, curiosity, and just enough facts to survive any dinner party without being found out. Because let's be honest, no one wants a full lecture on the history of Cubism. But knowing that Rothko isn't about what you see but how it makes you feel, that's conversational gold. In each episode, we'll explore a new world of tasteful overconfidence. Wines, how to nod thoughtfully at a Burgundy without actually tasting the oak. Whiskies, the difference between Scotch, Irish, and pretending to care about peat levels. Jazz, what to say when someone brings up Coltrane. Hint, just say spiritual period and nod slowly. Architecture, how to recognize brutalism and why people pretend to like it. Literature, how to drop one author's name and instantly sound well read, even if you only know the quote from Instagram. It's not about showing off, it's about playing with knowledge, experimenting with style, curiosity, and a healthy dose of irony. Because pretending to be a connoisseur is a kind of performance art. And honestly, it's fun. You get to try on a slightly exaggerated version of yourself. The worldly, confident, ever so slightly pretentious you. You'll see that snobbery isn't about exclusion. It's about participation. It's about joining the conversation with a wink and a story that sounds better after one glass too many. Of course, snobbery isn't something you use all the time. It's a social tool, like salt. A little sprinkle makes everything better. Too much and everyone gets thirsty. You use it when the conversation drifts into uncertain territory. When someone mentions Bauhaus design or biodynamic wine or a jazz artist you've definitely never heard of. That's when you smile, tilt your head slightly, and say something vague but confident, like, "Ah yes, that's such a transitional period for him." And just like that, you're in the game. But here's the true art, knowing what to do when you're caught. When someone asks a follow-up question, and you realize you've just exhausted your entire knowledge of Frank Lloyd Wright. Do not panic and do not back down, and under no circumstances say, "I don't actually know." Instead, breathe, smile thoughtfully, and say, "That's an interesting angle. I hadn't considered it that way." Then, and this is crucial, sip your drink slowly. That buys you 8 seconds, long enough for someone else to jump in, or for the topic to mercifully drift back to something you actually understand, like Netflix. Of course, every art form has its limits, and so does snobbery. You can only play the expert if the others aren't experts themselves. Snobbery is like perfume, delightful in small doses, but fatal if you wear it in the wrong room. So, if someone at the table actually teaches modern art, well, don't try to impress them by talking about brushstrokes and existentialism. That's like bringing a kazoo to a jazz club. In moments like that, you simply smile, nod appreciatively, and say something diplomatic like, "I've always found that period emotionally challenging." Then take a slow sip of your drink and let the real experts perform. Because true sophistication isn't about knowing more, it's about knowing when to shut up gracefully. Remember, snobbery isn't about faking intelligence. It's about playing intelligence. It's theater, it's rhythm, it's social jazz, and like jazz, the pauses are just as important as the notes. And of course, there's the look. The true mark of refined snobbery is not what you say, but how you look while pretending to say something profound. First rule, never smile too much. Real connoisseurs rarely find things funny. They find them interesting, so instead of laughing, frown slightly, as if processing invisible layers of meaning. Second rule, the delayed nod. Never nod right away. Wait half a second like you're double-checking your own brilliance, then nod, slowly, deliberately, as if confirming that, yes, this painting does represent the decline of Western optimism. Third rule, the knowing gaze. When someone else speaks passionately, tilt your head, Squint just a little and give the expression of someone who already knew that. It's not arrogance, it's theatre. And if you ever feel you've overdone it, just whisper something soft and meaningless like, "It's really about texture, isn't it?" That resets everything. So, pour yourself something interesting, put on your most thoughtful expression, and join us as we explore the fine art of knowing a little about everything and having a ridiculously good time doing it. Because life's too short not to sound cultured. This is the Art of Snobbery. This is Captain Help. Thanks for watching and see you next time.